Logie Parish has two churches. One is the old original Auld Kirk, now unroofed and unused. The second is a more recent church, built in 1805, now the parish church. It lies in Stirling district, not far from Campus Kenneth. The dedication of the Old Kirk is said to be to St. Cerf. There's been a church here since at least 1183, and it was linked to the priory at North Berwick. The Old Kirk and parish rank amongst some of the oldest Christian sites in Scotland. It was David I, who reigned from 1124 to 1153, who established the parish system in Scotland. He did so for administration purposes and also for the advancements of the faith. The original kirk remained in use until the time of the Reformation, 1560. At that time, a new church was built. In 1684, this was found to be ruinous, and it was improved, extended, and a trades loft was built. At some point also a session house was added to the east end of the kirk, and nearby a small school was built. This has now become a burial ground. In 1801, Sir Robert Abercromby of the Airthrey Castle gave land for a new church to be built. This was complete by 1805, and further extension took place to it in 1901. Much of the stone from the old kirk was taken to build the new. The manse for the church was based in the grounds of Airthrey Castle. There appears to be the remains of a small kirkton nearby. These were the dwellings of those people who were linked to duties in the church. There is a sundial attached to the church, and this has a date of 1684. The churchyard wall is circular, typical of the old Celtic churches. There are at least 360 gravestones present, and there are two, maybe more in terms of parts, hogbacks, Viking hogbacks, dating from around 1080. One has been broken up, and a small portion of another is present within the ruins of the kirk. On the west-facing gable end there are two awnings, under which are memorials to the Graham family of Airthrey Castle, and also sadly to the Airthrey Angels, two teenage girls who were killed in a fire at the castle. They're also interesting on the railings. They are the Chi Rho symbols, that is, the two symbols in Greek of the name of Christ. The remaining Viking hogback has the slight signs of the shingles, that is, the roofing tiles made of wood. The Vikings used imitations of Viking longhouses as their gravestones. A particularly unusual and ornate gravestone is to the wife of a leather worker or shoemaker, particularly high status, seeing as there were silver buckles portrayed. Also there is the upside down heart, which is said to indicate the death of somebody who was young. There were drove roads for cattle in the area. Often cattle would die en route. In this case their bodies were brought here. The husband of this lady made a considerable amount of money from setting up a tannery and working in leather. In the graveyard of the new parish church there's a rather unusual mausoleum or family enclosure to the Philp family. From the outside it looks perfectly normal, but through the door you can see that it has a metal grid over the entire roof. This is to prevent bodies from being stolen by the body snatchers or resurrectionists for dissection. Above the main entrance of the new kirk is a rather fine carving of a burning bush. This is a symbol of the Church of Scotland. Also unusually, to the left of the entrance door there's a fine water fountain with a small statue of Christ. Also unusually for a Scottish church is a rather fine example of a lich gate. This is where coffins will often be left temporarily for the final act of burial. Airthrey Castle and its occupants always had a close link with the kirk. Now the castle and the estate are part of the University of Stirling.